Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Umuahia in Nigeria, the people adored Reverend Sister Magdalene. She was the head of the small chapel at the center of the village, a symbol of holiness and a beacon of hope. Her prayers seemed to work miracles. The barren conceived, the sick recovered, and troubled hearts found peace. People traveled from neighboring villages to seek her blessings. But despite her saintly attitude, Sister Magdalene carried a dark, unspeakable secret. By day, she was a servant of God, but by night, she became the very source of the evil plaguing the village. The mysterious disappearance began. Life in Umuahia took a sinister turn when children began disappearing. The first was little Ada, a cheerful girl who often sang hymns as she skipped to the chapel with her mother. One night, her parents woke to find her bed empty and the front door opened. At first, the villagers thought it was the work of kidnappers or wild animals, but when two more children vanished in the same week, fear gripped the village. The disappearance followed an unsettling pattern. Each child vanished on a moonless night, leaving no trace behind. The people turned to Sister Magdalene for help. They gathered in the chapel, desperate for answer. "We are under attack from the force of darkness," Sister Magdalene declared, her voice filled with conviction. "But fear not, for the Lord is with us. We will pray for divine protection." She led the congregation in fervent prayer, and the villagers left feeling comforted, believing that Sister Magdalene would help them overcome the evil. Meanwhile, the remaining children in the village began experiencing strange dreams. They spoke of a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes standing at their window at night, whispering their names. Some said the figure beckoned them to follow, while others claimed to hear eerie chanting in an unknown language. The dreams terrified the parents, who took to keeping their children indoors after sunset. Still, the disappearances continued one by one. The children vanished, leaving the village in despair. A young boy named Chike, a curious and brave boy of 13, had been deeply troubled by the loss of his friends. Determined to find answer, he decided to stay awake one night, hiding under the bed with a knife his father had given him for protection. As the moonless night deepened, Chike heard a soft whisper outside his window. Peeking through the curtain, he saw a shadowy figure moving towards the chapel. Intrigued, he followed the figure from a safe distance, his heart pounding. The figure entered the chapel, and to Chike's astonishment, it was Sister Magdalene. He watched as she lit a circle of black candle and began chanting. On the altar was a small door, eerily resembling his missing friend Ada. Chike ran home in terror, barely able to contain his fear. He confided in his best friend Nkem, and together they decided to expose Sister Magdalene. Chike and Nkem told their story to the village elder, Chief Unwonsu. Though skeptical, the elder agreed to investigate. He gathered a group of trusted men, and they planned to keep watch over the chapel on the next moonless night. The night arrived, and the men hid around the chapel. As midnight approached, they saw Sister Magdalene enter, her white habit replaced by a black cloak. They waited until she began her ritual before bursting in with lantern and machetes. Inside, they found her standing in the middle of pentagram, surrounded by black candles. The missing children's clothes were scattered around the room. Sister Magdalene's eye glowed red as she turned to face them. "So you dare to interrupt me?" she hissed, her voice dripping with malice. "You think you can stop me? I am the queen of the land by night, and you are nothing but fools." Chief Unwonsu stepped forward, clutching his Bible, and began to recite Psalm 91. The other joined him. their voice trembling but determined. Sister Magdalene shrieked his rage and raised her hand. Suddenly, the room filled with a dark, swirling wind. The lantern flickered and went out, plunging them into near total darkness. With a gesture, Sister Magdalene flung the men backward as if they were rag doll. Some were pinned to the wall by an invisible force, while others were frozen in one place. Unable to move, the air grew thick with an unholy energy, and the men realized they were not matched for her power. "You are not strong enough to fight me," she sneered. "Run if you value your life." Terrified, the men stumbled out of the chapel, leaving their lantern and machete behind. They regrouped outside, shaking but determined to find another way to defeat the dark force that had infiltrated their village. The next day, Chief Nwosu called for a village meeting. The elders, parents, and children gathered, and he recounted the terrifying events of the previous night. "We cannot face this evil with strength alone," he said. "Sister Magdalene has power beyond our understanding. We need wisdom, faith, and unity to defeat her." The villagers decided to seek help from an elder priest who lived in a remote monastery, known for his deep knowledge of both spiritual and mystical matter. Father Anayo was said to have encountered and defeated forces of darkness before. Chike and Nkem volunteered to travel with Chief Nwosu to find Father Anayo. After days of journeying through dense forest, they found the old priest in prayer. They told him of the horror in their village and begged for his guidance. Father Anayo listened carefully and then nodded. "The evil you face is ancient and cunning. It thrives on fear and division. To defeat it, you must prepare yourself spiritually and unite the village in faith." He gave them a consecrated chalice filled with holy water, a blessed crucifix, and instruction for a powerful ritual of exorcism. He also warned them that they must not falter in their faith, no matter how terrifying Sister Magdalene became. On the next moonless night, the villagers gathered outside the chapel, armed with faith and the tools Father Anayo had provided. Chief also led them in prayer, and the entire village joined in, their voice creating a chorus that filled the air with power. When Sister Magdalene appeared, she laughed mockingly. "Back again, you fools never learn." But this time, the villagers were prepared. As she began her ritual, Chief Nwosu and Father Anayo, who had traveled back with them, entered the chapel holding the crucifix high. The rest of the villagers surrounded the building, chanting prayer and holding torch aloft. Sister Magdalene unleashes her darkness power, but the holy water and the crucifix shielded them. Father Anayo began the exorcism, calling on the name of God to banish the evil within her. The battle was fierce. Sister Magdalene's form twisted and shifted, growing more monstrous as she resisted. The villagers outside could feel the ground tremble beneath their feet, but they continued praying, their faith unwavering. Finally, with a deafening scream, Sister Magdalene was consumed by a blinding light. When the light faded, she was gone, and the children who had vanished reappeared, laying unconscious on the chapel floor. The villagers rejoiced, carrying the children back to their home. The chapel was abandoned, and the villagers built a new place of worship far from the cursed ground. They prayed for forgiveness and vowed never to place blind trust in appearance again. The story of Sister Magdalene became a legend, a cautionary tale about the danger of hidden evil and the power of unity and faith in overcoming darkness. The people of Umuahia learned to remain vigilant and to trust not in appearance but in action that reflects true goodness.